I've never met most of the people in this room, but there are a few things I know about you already. I know that you're high achievers. That's why you're here. I know that you got to this point in your careers through a lot of hard work and concentration. And I also know that over the past few years, you probably feel like some things have been slipping. Your attention span feels weak. You're having trouble focusing on just one thing at a time. You're busier than ever, but you also feel less productive. And you're finishing your days feeling mentally exhausted. I don't know those things because I'm a mind reader. I know them because I know you have smartphones. I know that for most of you, your phone is the first thing you reach for in the morning and the last thing you touch before bed. And I know that a lot of you are going to have trouble not reaching for your phones for the duration of this talk, which is going to be 8 minutes long, so consider that a challenge. So don't get me wrong, smartphones are absolutely amazing tools, but there is something about them that can make us act like the tools. So here's something else I know. It is possible to get your attention span back, to increase your creativity and productivity, and feel less stressed. To do so, you need to change your relationship with your phone. And today, I want to help you take the first steps. The first thing I want to do is draw back the curtain on why it's so hard to put down your phone to begin with. And that's actually quite easy to understand. It's because your phone's designed to be hard to put down. Why would that be? It's because that's how most apps make money. So if you think about it, any app that's free, social media is a good example of this. If it's free, we can't be the customers. We're actually the product. Advertisers are the customers, and our attention is what is being sold. The more time we spend on apps like that, the more opportunities there are to gather data about us and to use it to show us targeted ads. And it's totally fine if you are using the app because you really want to be using it, but most of us are not descending into 45-minute social media spirals before bedtime out of a true desire to rob ourselves of sleep. We're doing it because we've been manipulated. App makers manipulate us by borrowing techniques from a different device, slot machines. And that should be concerning because slot machines are widely considered to be the most addictive machines ever to have been invented. Slot machines hook us by triggering the release of dopamine, which is a chemical that our brains use to record when something is worth doing again. Dopamine is evolutionarily essential because it's how we remember to do things like eat and reproduce. But our dopamine systems can also be hijacked to establish habits that are not so good for us or to create products that will hook us. To do so, all you have to do is incorporate dopamine triggers into your product's design. So for example, what would those be? Bright colors. That's why your phone's such a nice, bright, vibrant color. Rewards. For your slot machine, you might have the chance of winning money, and on your phone, you might have the chance of getting a like. So social affirmation is very powerful. And also unpredictability. You'd think we'd be more driven to do things compulsively if we knew there would always be a positive result. But that actually is not the most effective. The most effective is to not know what's coming next. That will make you want to check your phone. You don't know what's waiting for you, which makes you want to reach for it even more. And when you do check your phone and you encounter a dopamine trigger, which will happen by design every time you reach for your phone, you're teaching yourself that checking your phone was something that was worth doing again. What's more, our brains actually release twice as much dopamine in anticipation of a reward as they do when we receive the reward itself, which explains why just seeing someone else on their phone can be such a powerful trigger for your own phone craving. It's as if we become Pavlov's dogs and we're trained to salivate in anticipation anytime we even catch sight of a phone. So that's the dopamine side. App makers also get us by triggering anxiety. We're so conditioned to think that checking your phone is worth doing again and again that when you can't do it, sorry, I'm making you do that right now, you feel anxious. Your body actually can release stress hormones like cortisol, which is there to help us deal with physical threats. And it doesn't matter that most notifications are not there to warn you of an impending lion attack. The anxiety feels uncomfortable, so to alleviate it, what do? You check your phone again. The result of all these tricks is that the average person today is spending 4 hours a day on their phones, just their phones. That adds up to 60 full days a year, a sixth of our time alive. It's time that we're not spending on our families or our friends or our careers or anything else that brings us meaning or joy. The opportunity costs are enormous, and it's time that once you spend it, you can't get back. It's also time that's changing our brains. Because think about it, if you do anything for 4 hours a day, it's going to change your brain. And unfortunately, what we know so far about these changes is concerning, to say the least. The time we spend on our phones is affecting everything from our attention spans and focus to our memories, our creativity, productivity, physical health, self-esteem, and our sleep. And it's not just us it's taking a toll on. When we prioritize our phones, it takes a toll on the people in our lives that matter to us, our families, on our kids. And speaking of children, phones are affecting their brains too. So that's the depressing part. The good news is that it is possible to create a healthy and happy relationship with your phone in which it's the tool, not you. The first thing to do isn't turn off all your notifications and get your phone out of your bedroom, though you definitely should do those things. The first thing is to change the way you think about it. You want to turn your phone from a temptation that you're trying to resist into an obstacle that's getting in the way of how you want to live your life. You've already started to do this just by listening so far to this talk, but here are 3 things I want you to do today to further this. The first is to catch yourself. I want you to notice when you reach for your phone. As our next speaker, Judson Brewer, is going to explain in more detail, just that mere act of noticing is a powerful tool for behavior change. To make that easier, I recommend putting a rubber band around your phone, that's why you have rubber bands, and or changing your lock screen prompt to something that says something like this: do you really want to pick me up right now? And what that does is when you reach for your phone on autopilot and you notice this band or this prompt, you're like, why is that there? You give yourself a chance to decide how you want to proceed. The second thing I want you to do is choose how you want to spend your attention. Because here's the thing, right now your phone's making that decision for you, and we need to take back control. It can be whatever you want: reading, your family, exercise. It does not matter as long as it feels like a gift to yourself rather than a restriction. Because a lot of people come to me and they say, I need to spend less time on my phone. And I say, well, that's not the point. The point's not to spend less time on your phone. It's to spend more time on your life. And lastly, I want you guys to have a conversation. I'm always astounded when I come to conferences like this and I see whole rooms of people staring down at their phones. Because you paid to be here, right? I mean, you're surrounded by objectively fascinating people. So I challenge you, the next time there's a break and you feel the need or the twitch to reach for your phone, don't. Instead, turn to the person next to you, doesn't matter who. Strike up a conversation. Can't think of anything to say? You can ask them what's something they want to spend more attention on. The conversation might be lame, but I can guarantee you it will be a lot less lame than flying home and realizing you spent this whole conference on your phone. So the ultimate message I want to leave you with is this: our lives are what we pay attention to. We only remember what we pay attention to. We only experience what we pay attention to. And that means when we make a decision in the moment about how to spend our attention, we are making a much broader decision about how we want to spend our lives. And if you decide you want to spend some of your attention on the phone, that is fine. The point is just to become more protective of your attention, to guard it like a precious resource, so that you know that when you do spend it on something, it is the result of a conscious choice. And I can speak from personal experience and the experience of thousands of people that I've heard from when I say that if you do this, if you become more purposeful in how you spend your attention, it won't just help you take back control of your devices, it can also help you take back your life. Thank you very much for your attention.